right, welcome everybody. We're excited to get going here. We got Rachel coming from Hero Cosmetics today. We're going to be talking this idea of finding your brand voice. I think it's going to be kind of a cool topic. So I'm excited to jump in. Rachel, thanks for joining. How are you?
Good. How are you? Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited
Yeah.
to talk all things brand voice.
Yeah, this was hard to get. I'm to blame. This one was hard to like get nailed down. We finally tracked each other down, and
We did.
we are here, and we are excited.
Yep.
I'm excited. She's like, let me. Well, anyway, I'm so
No,
glad you.
I'm excited. We
I'm
did
so
it.
glad you took
Proud
the
of
time.
us.
Yeah. Before we dive into this topic, which is I think will be a fun one, maybe
Yeah.
tell us just a little more about yourself and some of the cool things you guys do over there.
Sure. So, I lived in New York for a really long time. Now I'm over in Jersey City. I'm a writer and actor outside of being a customer service
Yes.
experience specialist. Technically, right now my title is brand liaison for Hero Cosmetics. But basically, I'm in charge of the customer service, and I monitor, train, and manage the call center that we use. And Hero Cosmetics, I've been there for almost 5 years. It'll be five
That's a
years in
long
November.
time.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a
Yeah, when I when I started in November 2020, I hadn't had a job since January. So they were kind of my saving grace, and they didn't have a
wow.
customer service department yet. They were a very young
Oh my
company,
goodness.
only about 3 years younger than
Yes, you're
me.
probably right. I bet that yeah,
Yep,
that was
really
younger.
young.
They were small. They're not as small anymore.
No, no, we're much bigger now, but there's about 28 of us, and I built the customer service team
Oh my
of
goodness.
it was myself for a really long time, and then I brought in a teammate, and now our roles are a little different. Hero Cosmetics was acquired a couple years ago by Church and Dwight, but we're still in the trenches of customer service and experience and still giving the same.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I've been there for 5 years, and it's great. It really is, we call it a unicorn of a company. It's
Wow.
everybody who has come or and is still there or has left or has left their mark, and everybody is just like the best in the biz. And yeah, it's a really incredible team. We are a bit larger now, but we are yeah, we're great. We're mostly women, which is great. We're like 72% women, and we're really diverse, and yeah, really proud to work for Hero.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean I knew you had been there 5 years, but I didn't
Yeah.
actually put two and two together. The acquisition I saw had happened a little bit back, but you're right.
Yeah, a couple years ago now.
That 5 years ago, that would have been a very small company. I
Yeah, it
just
was so
think of
tiny.
them as like the tiny. I just kind of think of them, as who you guys are now, which is,
Yeah.
you're obviously not Amazon or something, but you're much
No.
bigger startup. So
Not
cool.
yet.
Well, yeah, there you go. Well, that was fun. That's fun to know. And you mentioned kind of this theater background, and I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of start there, if that's all right. I'm
Yeah,
curious.
of
'Cause, yeah,
course.
you have such a kind of unique background. How do you
Mhm.
feel like your background in theater has influenced the way you define and kind of protect this brand voice in a company?
Well, I think of it like playing a character, because it is kind of like a character. And once you sort of look at it that way, you can really get the tone of voice and even like mannerisms that you do, or like if it's something like Hero, which is a very everyday guy, gal, everyday person kind of brand voice, then you can
Mm,
have like the smile in your voice. You can have, you can feel kind of a little relaxed, relatable,
yeah.
like you're having a conversation with a friend. And if you kind of like you would in acting, you feel it in your body, you kind of get the words and get familiar with kind of the verbiage that you want to use, a little bit more casual, a little not really stiff, like that kind of thing. So I kind of use my theater background in that way of like I want
I'm
everyone to
sure.
feel it in
Yeah,
their bones.
that totally resonates.
Yeah.
I love that. For those maybe who don't, I think you just kind of did it, but it made me think
Mhm.
like, how do you define this concept of like brand voice, just so people may be on the same page there?
Sure. The brand voice is kind of just like who the brand is, how they talk and move through whatever space that they're in. Um, so it really just sort of represents the brand. Like when you hear it, you you recognize it. Like you can hear usually someone talks about something magical. You're gonna think of Disney, most likely.
Yes. Yeah.
Or like, McDonald's has so many catchphrases that that are in their tone. So it really just is a representation. It's like the book cover of the
I love it.
brand in a way.
Of the company or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I like
exactly.
the book cover. Okay. How do you think about what would be maybe your go-to advice for getting, marketing teams sometimes are a little bit easier to get on the same page with
Yes, for
because
sure.
they like it. But thinking of product or support, how do you get them to truly adopt and think about these brand voice guidelines, maybe in some of their work?
Yeah, so it's actually what I'm working on right now with my team. I'm doing like a series of trainings with them. We're using a lot of, we had this great workshop a few months ago of like a brand voice archetypes, like the wizard, the jester, the caregiver, the everyday guy gal, which is what hero is. And there's like the nurse, the mother. There's a bunch of archetypes that are used in brand voice. So kind of going over that and using what we did in this workshop was kind of like comparing them to
Cool.
Muppets. Like, like the jester might be like
Yeah.
or something, and then there's like a Kermit. A Kermit is more like the kind of the wizard, the expert kind of thing, or Big Bird, or that kind of thing. So and making it fun. So all my trainings are fun. I just did one on a brand that Church and Dwight has that is the jester, and I use like Tigger as a jester.
Yeah.
He's like fun loving, outgoing, very funny, the life of the party. So
Yeah.
like I try to break it down into digestible pieces, and then also talk to them about if they know the brand voice in something else. So then we
Mm,
get a really good dialogue going of like, oh, this other brand, oh, this brand, or this brand. And then we start talking about how that makes them feel. And do they feel better when they get like a form response, or is it more fun to have like a sign off? Like I encourage
uh,
my team to do a sign off. Mine always was don't forget your sunscreen. So like
well,
so
that's
like
fun. You mean when you were, yeah, when you were like an actual, when you were in the role, kind of
yes,
playing.
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, so I encourage them to add their personality to it, which luckily for Hero is very much the brand voice is us being ourselves.
Yeah, look, I think those, I mean, little things mean a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to, I love some of the examples there because that's fresh, it's kind of fun, but also it sounds like you infuse some fun things in training and
Yeah, I try to. It can be boring to like go through a deck. So I try to change it up and like I always want my team to make sure that they feel heard and that they
yeah.
understand it. And they really have such a great grasp on it. So it's just fun to kind of refresh and go through it too.
Well, and I think I mean, I think Heroes, got some cool brand stuff going on there.
We
Do you
do.
feel like one of the things people I've heard them ask is just about kind of this almost like a refreshing concept, it's how do you know if you should update it or evolve it or
Right.
refresh your brand voice without kind of losing, maybe the essence of who you are? How do you think through things like that?
It's tough, and it's in a crowded space like the acne space can feel a little crowded. It's
Yeah,
important to kind of like stand out, and our true to our brand is really about, we want to keep the core of it, which basically is saying that everybody gets acne and it doesn't everybody gets it. It's relatable. It's
yeah,
it's nothing to be ashamed of, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's okay to be insecure about it. All of us are insecure about it. So keeping that in mind, we have definitely changed some of our language in up to date of like what is happening on TikTok, or like just like other little slang might be the wrong word, but other little colloquialisms that
yeah,
like maybe more popular right now that like, our younger audience, because a lot of our demographics pretty young, might be used to. So like we do pay attention to trends and things like that. But like I do think keeping in with the core is important, even if you do a little refresh to update it,
yeah.
keeping that like who we are. I don't think that will change. I think adapting it is a really great idea, especially as, something like the acne market gets more and more crowded, more people coming out,
Yeah,
just things like that,
yeah.
more brands. But I think staying
I
strong
like that.
at the core like really
Yeah.
makes you stand out, because if you adapt too much, then you kind of lose it.
Yeah, you're almost
You
like
know?
you use that Disney example. It's like you can't really Disney can't be the magical company and the car tire company or what
Right,
like you don't
right,
want
right.
to
Like the yeah, like the
you don't
goofball company. Like, no,
you
that's
don't want
it.
to change. You kind of want there's
Yeah,
something about adapting, I think, and iterating, but you're right. Once you land on something, the idea is to try to really stick to that and
yeah.
build off it. That's cool. That's a good reminder. Common mistakes you feel like as you see companies trying to establish this, issues that they might have, things you might recommend to maybe fix that. Anything come to mind there?
Yeah, I think that it's really important to really like talk to all of your teams, like marketing, customer service, all of that when
Mm.
you're building the brand voice.
Yeah, make it not like a
So
siloed thing. That
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and hear from everybody who like has a hand in customers. But then I also feel like sometimes brands can go overboard with their brand voice and like have too many like slogans and things in their emails and sign-offs and stuff like that. It can go a little heavy and then it's like, all right, like this is a little much. And then it goes the opposite side of robotic. Like it's
Yeah.
robotic but very brandy.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think, it's coming up with what everybody on in the brand thinks, what everybody in the company thinks before you even look at other brands. You want to figure out your identity. Because if you're looking at other brands and kind of seeing where you can fit, then I don't think you're being as authentic as you could be.
Cool. Yeah, look, I think that, yeah, I love the silo thing. I think that
Yeah.
a little bit. And I was thinking we were talking about an old movie pre-show a little bit, but I was thinking of another old movie, that Office Space movie, where they
Oh, yes.
require the person to wear like the 25, pins or
The pins
something.
of flair.
The flag, yeah, thank you. That's what
Exactly.
it is, and it's like, okay, maybe that's a little much,
Exactly.
over
It's
the
too
top.
much. Sometimes it's too much flair.
Too
And
much
it's
flair. There you go. That's
like,
exactly
that's
right.
just
That's
cheesy.
exactly. Yeah, that's super fun.
Yeah,
Where
that's
do
a good
you
point.
I mean, you brought up a couple brands here, and I think you guys are one of those, but is there a couple other, if people want to go see it, you think people who are doing this better than others, is there, I mean, obviously like a Disney is a big,
Right,
huge
right.
one. You guys, I think, have really been able to find a niche and really stick to something and find a voice that, I think, to your point, is kind of that, it's an awkward conversation, but you found
Yeah.
something there. And I'm no expert at brand voice, but any others that you'd point people to say, hey, maybe you should check these guys out if you're looking at someone who might have a decent way through the journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of skincare does a really good job of
It does
finding
it.
their
Yeah.
brand voice. Uh, CeraVe is a really good one, I think,
Okay.
because I mean, they're a big skincare brand
Yeah.
recommended by dermatologists, but they really rely on like their clinical information.
Mm,
They're very scientific. So I think they do a really good job of kind of sticking with that.
yeah.
Um, and then like a lot of like fun young brands that are coming up,
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're
Black
right. I think a lot of,
Fridays and Boyoma and
yeah,
they're just like really are having fun in the space. They're
pushing that
having a
boundary.
good
You're
time.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Look, those are some fun examples. Yeah, I think they understand the importance of it. That's one thing, as I hear you talk, like, I think
Yeah.
for a while people were thinking so much just about, how fast their customer service reps got up the phone or something. But
Exactly. Yeah.
now there's some of these up and comers, I think, have really got that kind of vibe that's slightly different. But
Yeah. Yeah. You
um,
want to you want to stand out.
yeah,
Want
yeah,
your customers to recognize you too when they call or email or write to you on social. They how your brand looks is like how you should sound.
it matters. It definitely
Yeah.
matters. Okay, fun conversation. We can
Yeah.
kind of wrap here. I just wonder, maybe one last thing to leave the group is
Yeah.
any advice. We've obviously got people like yourself
Yeah.
in a lot of different roles, and you know better than anybody. It's the world's gotten weird, the economy, the do more with less, the
Yeah.
overwhelming, just a lot kind of going on.
Yeah.
Anything you just kind of leave the audience with, or any tips, trips, best practices?
Yeah, my biggest piece of advice is when what I do is I always check on my team. I
Yeah.
always check on my team. I love brainstorming with my team. I have a weekly chat with them that sometimes is going over what's coming up promos, but then a lot of times it's just like, what's up? And then we'll tell funny stories or we'll go over some tickets or whatever it is. So I always check on them to kind of gauge how they're doing. And I always want ideas from them. And I feel like that's so important. And then like in this like weird, crazy world with whatever is happening next, I do think trying to stick to your brand and not
Yeah.
change too much. Like I feel like
Yeah.
there's so much that like brands are like starting to panic and like, that's they don't want to you don't want to lose your identity. Like you want to like stay tough. Like there's been a lot of emails we've been sharing in like our marketing meeting of like things with the tariffs, and like a lot of the brands are sticking to their voice and they're making them pretty funny, and that's been kind of
Yeah. A good way to kind of
or yeah, or
navigate
helpful. Like
around.
exactly, or helpful. Like Up a Baby I got from one, and that was a very like confident, kind email. They're a caregiver,
Uh,
so they do the strollers and car seats and
yeah.
stuff. So like I think just really trying to stay authentic to your audience, know your audience. So
Yeah.
like if your audience needs to hear from you, then talk to them. If your
Yeah.
customers need to hear from you, then talk to them. I think that would
Oh,
be.
yeah, I like those. I think some of the, with all that's been going on, and obviously coming out of COVID, that front
Yes.
line was getting just beat up.
Yeah.
And so I like the idea of, you know what, you should check on your people sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You get sometimes so into your systems and processes
Yep.
that, yeah, you don't probably sometimes talk to your customers.
Right.
The
Just
simple
yeah,
things, but
exactly.
love it. Cool. Well, again, really appreciate it. A fun,
Thank
kind of a
you.
different talk track than some of those
Yeah.
that I think people will find throughout the rest of the day, but it's a definitely important one. I think something that teams are doing to really differentiate themselves. It falls
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this
I think
category.
it's definitely something that's happening, and I think it's really cool. Like I think I like seeing what brands come up with, and I think it's a
There's
fun.
some fun,
It's a little
yeah.
different.
You're right. There's some real fun examples out there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, again, Rachel, really appreciate you taking the time. For the
Okay.
audience, have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thanks. You too.